Have you ever made an impulsive decision? Something that seemed like a fantastic idea at the time, perhaps or perhaps not after a few Christmas beers. Well, say hello to Henry, who I have been strategically placing around the house over the Christmas holidays in order to frighten my girlfriend. Now, for the purpose of this video, we are going to use Henry to help you understand trading psychology and to give you some ideas as you come into 2020 about how to deal with things like fear of missing out, revenge trading, and that sense of panic when you are in trades, which causes you to make mistakes. Because really, if you can start to get on top of your trading psychology, then this year can become a very good trading year for you. Now, Henry has been learning to trade for a few months. He understands how to read charts, he understands the technicals, and he's pretty good at identifying trade entries. The problem is, he keeps making mistakes over and over and over again. It seems like as soon as he gets into a trade, everything falls apart. He no longer follows his trading plan, he loses money, he moves his stop, and the losses are piling up. Now, after this happens, he kind of berates himself and he says, you know what, that was so stupid, what am I doing? I need to get on top of this, I need to fix it. Next time, I am going to be trading like a professional. But next time comes around and the exact same thing happens. The problem is, when Henry is getting into trades, and it's not always as soon as you get into a trade, it can actually be just before the trade, when you are looking at the setup and you start to get something like fear of missing out. When that is happening, Henry is no longer in control. A part of his brain called the limbic system, more specifically the amygdala, is taking control. And that's around about here. That is known as the emotional part of the brain. Now, when Henry is just about to get into a trade, or just after he enters a trade, everything starts to fall apart. So now he still knows what his trading plan is because he has been learning it for months. He still has a very vague idea of what he is supposed to be doing, but there are different voices in his head now that are taking control, and they are panicking. They want him to do the wrong things because he is dealing with uncertainty. He has no idea what is going to happen. His brain is jumping into a fear response and it just wants to try and protect him. But when you're dealing with the uncertainty of the markets, the emotional response has no idea how to do that. And what happens is you start to make mistakes. You're scared of losing money, so you move your stop and increase the loss because you think maybe if you don't get stopped out, the market will reverse and you won't have to deal with it. Now, the thing is, trying to combat this emotional response as it is happening is very, very difficult because when you are trading and when you're going through this, it feels a little something like this. Okay, so let me put this guy out before Greta shows up. Okay, so unfortunately, Henry has now gone to the trading gods in the sky, but he helped us to illustrate a point. And that is when you are going through the emotional response, it can be very, very difficult to think coherently, to think logically. But the problem is most people try and address this emotional response when they are already in it. So let's say we use the example of someone going through a bout of road rage and you're sitting next to them in the car. Now they start to get incredibly angry, they start to punch the steering wheel, they hammer on the horn or whatever it is that they are doing. And you turn to them and you say, just calm down, start being more logical. what do you think the response is going to be? Are they instantly going to snap out of it? Are they going to become like some sort of Zen monk and just become absolute, pure, blissful calm? Of course they're not. What's most likely going to happen is they're going to explode even more because they're already in the emotional response. The limbic system is already in control and it is trying its very best to react the only way it knows how, using emotion. Now, trying to overpower it is incredibly difficult. So even if you think about someone who's very, very angry and you tell them to calm down, what happens is they usually explode even more because you are telling them to do something that at that point they have no idea how to do. So what do we do as traders? Well, the first thing is you don't try and overpower this emotional response when you are already in the emotional response. You have power before it happens and also after it happens. And by addressing both of these areas over and over and over again, what starts to happen is the emotional response starts to weaken. It starts to kind of fade into the background because you are preparing yourself and then you are analyzing yourself. That is where, as a trader, you have the power. So think about, again, the guy having road rage. If he only waits until he's having road rage before he tries to combat it, it's very unlikely he's going to be able to stop it. But if he goes over his actions after and starts to think about, okay, what happened? What caused the triggers? How did I react? How did I notice it in my body? He can then start to watch out for those next time. Before it happens, he can be more alert. He can practice things like meditation, breathing techniques, whatever it may be. He can make himself a mantra like, if some idiot cuts me off in traffic, it doesn't really matter. All I need to do is press the brake. Now, as a trader, you are doing exactly the same things. Before the trades, so when you are learning how to trade, when you're away from the computer, what are you doing? Things like meditation. Things like teaching yourself to quieten the emotional response. You are making sure you know your trading plan inside out, front to back. You need to know exactly what it is you are supposed to be doing, because if you wait until the limbic system takes over and you're in this emotional response, it's very difficult to kind of draw back to your trading plan, to draw back to the plan and the ideas that you had. You have to know each step of the way. If this happens, I do this. This is the setup I'm looking for. If it's not there, I'm not going to take the trade. It doesn't matter if I feel like I'm going to miss out. I'm only looking for these trades. In the trade, I'm going to do this. I'm looking for this profit target. If it starts to stall here, I'll come out for a smaller profit. I'll get my stock to break even. After the trade, if it's a loss, if it's a win, if it's a break even, I'll get up and I'll walk away. I'll make sure that the emotional response isn't controlling me before I sit back down once again at the computer. You have to do this over and over and over again. After the trade, what do? Trading diary. You analyze exactly what you did for the good trades and the bad trades, especially the trades where you're driven by your emotions. You have to start to understand, what were the triggers? How was I feeling? How was I breathing? Was I sitting really close to the computer? Was I getting laser vision? Had you been sitting at the computer for kind of 6-7 hours and you were getting tired? You have to start to pick out those little weaknesses, because when you do, you can start to address them. You can start to include things in the before the trades sessions that are going to help you avoid those pitfalls as you move forward. And then as you gain experience and as you continue to do this, the limbic system is going to start to lose power, because the uncertainty, it's not going away, but you're teaching yourself how to deal with it. If you are looking to really improve as a trader, I strongly suggest you work on this throughout this year. And as always, I hope this video was helpful. I do apologize to Henry, who is now in trading heaven, but he helped us make a point. I'm wishing you all the best for this year, guys. I'm James Orr, and thank you.